Chosen one, silence every urge to explain yourself right now. That tension in your chest, that pressure to prove your heart to people committed to misunderstanding you, release it. Maybe this week you walked into a room and felt the energy change before anyone said a word. Perhaps you stopped answering every message, stopped correcting every rumor, and chose peace over another exhausting argument. Or maybe yesterday, someone called you distant, selfish, or arrogant, simply because you refused to involve yourself in a situation that had nothing to do with you. And now you're wondering if protecting your peace made you the villain. The enemy is stirring this conflict right now for one reason. Your attention is no longer available for manipulation. They are uncomfortable because you stopped feeding the drama, stopped carrying responsibilities that were never yours, and stopped explaining boundaries you already made clear. This ends in the next 24 hours. The guilt, the overthinking, the need to defend yourself. It ends, not because everyone suddenly understands you, but because you finally understand that their opinion is not your assignment. Think back to that moment this week when you saw the message and chose not to respond. That moment when you heard the gossip and refused to join it. You thought you were being passive. You thought you were missing your chance to defend yourself. But you didn't lose your voice. You disciplined it. Your restraint was not weakness, it was wisdom. Your silence was not surrender. It was evidence that you are no longer controlled by people who only feel powerful when they can provoke you. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here alone. Divine wisdom brought this reminder to you at the moment you attempted to return to an old cycle. This is a divine appointment at the boundary between your old reactions and your new authority. In the next few minutes, you're going to receive the spiritual verdict over this situation. You'll see why minding your own business has become a form of protection, and at the end, we'll seal your peace with a declaration that releases you from the need to be understood by everyone. Do not leave before the verdict. Your future self is depending on the boundary you keep today. If you go back to explain yourself to people committed to misreading you, you may reopen a door that peace finally closed. Maybe the last 72 hours have felt unusually heavy. Perhaps you've replayed a conversation from yesterday, wondering whether you should have said more. Maybe someone has been watching your choices, questioning your distance, or treating your silence like an invitation to criticize you. In this uncomfortable space, the enemy has been whispering a specific lie. If they dislike you, you must have done something wrong. He is replaying the moment you walked away, the message you didn't answer, the favor you declined, and the boundary you set. He wants you to believe that being disliked means you are out of alignment. But here is the truth that silences that lie. Proverbs 26,004 says, "Do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you yourself will be just like him." That is not permission to be cruel. It is a decree against pointless engagement. It means every accusation does not deserve your defense. Every rumor does not require your response. Every person who misunderstands your peace is not entitled to access your energy. If everything in you is recognizing this, do not mistake the conviction for coincidence. The inner sanctum helps you wake up every morning to a fresh word from God before the noise of the world reaches you. The link is in the first pinned comment, but do not delay until the fire fades and you return to the same cycle of reacting, explaining, and exhausting yourself. The hatred you fear is not proof that you are failing. Sometimes it is simply the sound of people losing access to the version of you they could manipulate. You are not becoming heartless. You are becoming discerning. You are not abandoning people. You are abandoning unnecessary interference. And you are not hiding from conflict. You are refusing to let someone else's chaos become your calling. The same people who questioned your boundaries may eventually recognize your strength. But whether they do or not, your peace is still valid. Your life is still moving. And your silence, when guided by wisdom, is not emptiness. It is authority. Before we go deeper, if this message is speaking directly to the season you are in, take a moment to get the ebook linked in the description. It was created to help you understand the spiritual patterns behind rejection, isolation, boundaries, and becoming who God called you to be. Read it slowly, prayerfully, and let it meet you where you are, because the truth is, not every reaction you receive is proof that you did something wrong. Sometimes your silence exposes people who depended on your reaction. Sometimes your boundaries reveal who only loved you when they had access to you. Sometimes your refusal to participate in gossip, confusion, manipulation, or unnecessary drama feels offensive to people who built relationships around those things. When you stop feeding the fire, those who were comfortable in the smoke may accuse you of changing the atmosphere. But this is where you have to become honest with yourself. You cannot keep calling every uncomfortable reaction persecution. You cannot assume that everyone who disagrees with you is jealous. And you cannot use the language of being chosen to avoid correction. The same God who separates you from toxic environments will also send wise people to confront your blind spots. Proverbs teaches that faithful are the wounds of a friend because love does not always flatter. Sometimes love holds up a mirror. Discernment is not believing that everyone is against you. Discernment is knowing who is assigned to your growth, who is attached to your destruction, and who is simply walking a different path. Some people are not enemies. They are just not meant to accompany you into every season. Some are immature, not malicious. Some are limited, not wicked. You need enough spiritual clarity to recognize the difference without making yourself vulnerable to everyone or suspicious of everyone. That distinction matters because when you are truly set apart, you will be tempted to turn your isolation into an identity. You will start saying, "Nobody understands me, nobody supports me, everybody hates me." But sometimes the season of separation is not meant to make you suspicious of everyone. It is meant to make you more rooted in God than you are dependent on approval. The empty room is not always punishment. Sometimes it is the quiet place where the voice of God becomes louder than the voices that once defined you. Look at David in the wilderness. He was not surrounded by people who understood the full weight of his calling, but that wilderness did not make him bitter toward the entire world. It taught him how to recognize the difference between Saul's pursuit and Jonathan's covenant. One wanted to control his future, the other strengthened him in God. David had to learn that loneliness did not mean he was abandoned, and opposition did not mean every person was an enemy. In the caves, David learned to pray before he reacted. He learned that a hidden season could still contain holy preparation. The throne had been promised, but the cave was where his character was tested. You have to learn that too. Stop explaining your heart to people who have already decided to misunderstand it. Stop presenting evidence of your loyalty before people committed to interpreting everything you do as betrayal. There comes a point where your peace becomes more valuable than your reputation in the minds of people who benefit from misrepresenting you. You are not required to keep standing in the courtroom of someone else's imagination. God knows the truth about your motives, your tears, your sacrifices, and the nights you survived without applause. Let Him be the final witness. Human beings may edit the story, but they cannot erase what God has written. But here is where it goes deeper. Mind your own business does not simply mean staying out of everybody else's affairs. It means tending to the business God placed in your hands. Your healing is your business. Your discipline is your business. Your relationship with God is your business. Your assignment, your character, your stewardship, your emotional maturity, those are your responsibilities. They are gardens entrusted to you, and no amount of staring into another person's garden will make your own fruitful. Many people are exhausted because they are working full-time jobs in the lives of people who never hired them. They are monitoring who is offended, who is talking, who is watching, who is copying, who is secretly competing, and who has changed toward them. They are spending their mornings decoding messages and their evenings replaying conversations. Meanwhile, the purpose inside them is waiting for attention. The gift is waiting to be developed. The prayer is waiting to be prayed. The next step is waiting for obedience. Nehemiah understood this when he was rebuilding the wall. His enemies tried to pull him down into conversation after conversation, invitation after invitation, accusation after accusation. But Nehemiah's answer was clear: "I am doing a great work so that I cannot come down." That was not arrogance. That was focus. He understood that every distraction does not deserve a response, and every accusation does not deserve an investigation. There will always be a voice calling you away from the wall. There will always be a message designed to interrupt your concentration, a question meant to provoke your insecurity, or an invitation that appears harmless but carries the spirit of delay. Not every open door is an assignment, and not every demand for your attention is urgent. Sometimes obedience looks like refusing to descend from the place where God is building you. What would change if you stopped coming down from your assignment every time somebody called your name? What would happen if you refused to leave your place of rebuilding just to defend yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you? You might discover that the wall can rise when your attention is no longer scattered. You might recover the hours you gave away trying to be accepted. In just a moment, we are going deeper into the hidden reasons some people become angry when you stop responding, and it may change the way you interpret their behavior completely. Because some people do not hate your personality, they hate the loss of access. They hate that you no longer need their permission to feel secure. They hate that you can walk away without collapsing. They hate that the version of you they could manipulate is disappearing. They were not attached to your freedom. They were attached to your availability. When you were available for every emergency, they called it love. When you were always explaining yourself, they called it communication. When you tolerated disrespect to keep the peace, they called you humble. But the moment you began to say no, the moment you became quiet, the moment you stopped volunteering your energy to prove that you cared, suddenly you became selfish, distant, proud, or difficult. Do not be confused by the accusation. Sometimes people call your healing an attitude because your wounds used to make you convenient. Sometimes they call your boundaries hatred because they were comfortable with your self-abandonment. Sometimes they say you have changed, as if change is evidence of betrayal. But if God has changed your heart, your standards cannot remain the same. A healed person does not keep returning to the same fire simply because others enjoyed watching them burn. Jesus himself did not answer every question asked of him. He did not perform miracles for people who demanded signs from a place of unbelief. He withdrew from crowds. He kept certain things private. He loved people deeply without allowing every person to define the terms of his obedience. He knew when to speak, when to remain silent, and when to walk away. That is a lesson many compassionate people never learn. Love does not require unlimited access. You can forgive someone and still stop giving them the keys to your inner world. You can pray for someone and still refuse to follow them into confusion. You can wish someone well and understand that your path no longer has room for their influence. Forgiveness releases the debt. It does not always restore the position. Reconciliation requires repentance, safety, and changed behavior. Grace is not the same as permission to be wounded again. And now you need to examine the part of you that still wants them to understand. This is the place where many chosen people remain trapped. They have left the toxic environment physically, but emotionally, they are still standing in the doorway waiting for an apology, an explanation, or recognition. They are free in their actions, but imprisoned by the hope that the people who wounded them will someday validate their decision to heal. But what if they never do? What if they continue telling the story from their perspective? What if they make you the villain because admitting the truth would require them to confront themselves? What if the closure you keep waiting for is not going to come through their mouth? Sometimes the door closes before the explanation arrives, and God asks you to trust Him with the unanswered questions. Stay with me, because this is the part that breaks the cycle. You may never receive the apology you deserve, but you can still receive the peace you were waiting for. You may never be understood by the people who benefited from misunderstanding you, but God can still restore your confidence. You may never get the public vindication you imagined, but your life can become the evidence that no argument could provide. Joseph did not spend his life trying to convince his brothers that the pit was unjust. He allowed God to take him from the pit to the prison, and from the prison to the palace. His elevation became the answer, not because revenge was his goal, but because purpose was stronger than resentment. The same hands that were bound in a prison later carried authority, wisdom, and provision for the very family that had wounded him. That is the shift God is asking of you now. Stop using your energy to prove that you are not who they said you were. Become so committed to who God is forming you into that their version of you loses its power. You do not have to chase every rumor. You do not have to correct every false assumption. Some lies collapse when the person who carried them continues to walk in truth. Let consistency speak, where argument would only create more noise. But let me challenge you with something even more uncomfortable. Sometimes you are not being hated because you are chosen. Sometimes you are being resisted because your presence reminds people of a standard they do not want to meet. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your integrity exposes the compromises they have made. And rather than rise, they may try to pull you down so they do not have to feel confronted by your consistency. Do not punish yourself for becoming a mirror, but also do not become proud of what the mirror reveals. This is where humility must remain stronger than spiritual language. You are not better because you are different. You are responsible for what has been entrusted to you. Being set apart is not a crown you use to look down on people. It is a call to serve without losing yourself. The higher God takes you, the more carefully you must carry humility, because gifting without character can turn a calling into an idol. The enemy would love to turn your discernment into contempt. He would love for you to become so focused on who is against you that you forget to remain tender toward those who are still becoming. Not everyone who is immature is malicious. Not every awkward conversation is spiritual warfare. Not every closed door is rejection. Sometimes God is teaching you to stop assigning demonic meaning to ordinary human limitation. A person can disappoint you without being sent to destroy you. A relationship can end without either person being evil. This is why you must ask for wisdom, not merely confirmation. Confirmation will tell you what you already want to believe. Wisdom will search your motives. Wisdom will ask, am I protecting my peace, or am I punishing someone with silence? Am I walking away because God released me, or because my pride was wounded? Am I setting a boundary, or am I building a wall so nobody can ever challenge me again? Those questions may sting, but they are holy questions. David had the opportunity to kill Saul, the man hunting him, yet he refused to let his pain authorize him to violate his character. He knew that being mistreated did not give him permission to become destructive. You may have every reason to be angry, but you still have a responsibility to decide what kind of spirit will govern your next move. Boundaries can be firm without being cruel. Silence can be peaceful without being manipulative. Separation can be necessary without becoming hatred. And here is the confrontation many people do not expect. The greatest threat to your next season may not be the people who hate you. It may be your obsession with the people who hate you. Their dislike is not what keeps you bound. Your constant attention to it is. Every time you replay their words, check their pages, ask mutual friends what they said, or imagine how you will respond when they finally recognize your worth. You are still allowing them to occupy space in your mind. They may have left the room, but you keep giving them a seat at the table. You keep feeding a relationship that no longer exists with the currency of your attention. Release them from the position of judge. Release yourself from the need to be proven right. You do not need to win every narrative when God is writing your life. There are battles where victory looks like silence, not because you are weak, but because you have finally realized that engagement is a form of agreement with the distraction. Your attention is sacred. Do not spend it on people who have made confusion their home. And here is the hidden revelation. Perhaps the reason they hate that you mind your own business is because your own business is beginning to prosper. Your inner life is becoming stable. Your discernment is becoming sharp. Your future is becoming organized. Your attention is returning to your gifts, your family, your health, your calling, and your relationship with God. You are no longer spending all your strength managing reactions to you, and that means you are finally available for the work heaven assigned you. The thing that threatened them was never your noise. It was your focus. It was never your need to be seen. It was your willingness to become invisible while you were being prepared. It was never that you wanted to rise above them. It was that you stopped asking them to come with you into a place they had no desire to enter. A seed does not argue with the darkness beneath the soil. It simply keeps becoming until the time comes to break through. So let them misunderstand the quiet season. Let them call your boundaries pride. Let them assume your absence means weakness. You do not have to interrupt their assumptions to protect your destiny. Keep your hands clean. Keep your heart free. Keep building. Keep praying. Keep becoming. The God who sees you in secret knows how to reveal the fruit in public. And when God opens the next door, do not carry the old conflict into the new room as proof that you survived. You are not required to keep talking about the people who hurt you in order to honor what you overcame. Sometimes the final evidence of healing is that their name no longer controls the atmosphere inside you. You remember what happened, but you no longer live there. The scar remains as wisdom, not as an open invitation for pain to govern your future. Place your hand on your heart and declare this with me. I release the need to be understood by everyone. I release the burden of defending myself to people committed to misjudging me. I receive wisdom to know the difference between persecution and correction, between a boundary and a wall, between divine separation and emotional isolation. I will tend to what God has placed in my hands. I will not come down from my assignment to answer every accusation. I forgive without surrendering discernment, and I move forward without carrying resentment. My peace is not weakness. My silence is not defeat. My focus is sacred, and my life belongs to God. If this spoke to the season you are walking through, share in the comments. I will not come down. Let that be more than a phrase. Let it be your decision to stop abandoning your assignment for the sake of people who only recognize you when they can control you. And if you know someone who is learning to choose peace over explanation, send this message to them, not to start another argument, but to remind them that they are allowed to heal, grow, and keep going.